Hello everyone. In today's video I'll be recapping a 2008 sci-fi adventure film called CJ7. The film begins in Hong Kong where a poor 9-year-old boy named Dickie is walking to his fancy private school. A teacher named Cao scolds him for being dirty and wearing worn-out shoes, but a beautiful teacher named Yuan defends Dickie and wipes off his dirty face with care. Dickie explains to her that his mother had died and his father is busy working so nobody can take care of him. Once Dickie is sent to class by Ms. Yuan, he gets bullied by his classmates for being poor and having low aspirations while the other students boast of their incredible dreams. Mr. Cao also seems disgusted by Dickie, because when he picks up the teacher's pen, he gets scolded instead, before Mr. Cao picks up the pen with a handkerchief. During recess, the bully classmate of Dickie's named Johnny is showing off his new robotic pet toy named CJ1. Dickie is impressed but gets shoved away by Johnny, who loves to bully the poor and different kids, including a girl named Maggie who is much larger than girls her age. Having good values, Dickie steps up to defend Maggie, and they end up getting punished during PE class because they don't have proper shoes to participate. Meanwhile, Dickie's father T is a middle-aged man working laboriously in construction as he wants to earn enough money for Dickie to stay enrolled in the private school. He is starting to get weaker with age, and his manager suggests that he stops working in construction, but T refuses because he feels responsible for his son's well-being. That night, T goes home to his half-demolished house and brings a surprise for Dickie, which is a fan that he scavenged so they can finally sleep comfortably. However, when they try to turn it on, it stops working after a short time. Despite being poor, T always teaches Dickie to be grateful for what they have and that they should always be kind. The two spend their nights at home having fun and enjoying life by doing small things together, even having fun by smashing on the many cockroaches that invade their rundown house. The two have a very tight bond with each other. One day, Dickie and T are hanging out in the city outside of an electronics shop, where they watch the news about a UFO being spotted near their city. They then enter a toy shop where Dickie sees the CJ1 robot dog on display, and he says to his father that he really wants it. Obviously, they can't afford it, and T strikes Dickie because he's stubbornly crying out loud in public. Dickie runs outside and finds Ms. Yuan, who comforts him and tells him to listen to his father. That night, T goes to the junkyard to find some items that still work that he could bring home. Behind him, we see the UFO that was reported earlier parked on a pile of trash. As T is surprised to find a TV and other appliances turning on for a few moments as the UFO starts to hover and then flies away. Amid the trash, T finds something left by the UFO that he can gift to Dickie. However, Dickie refuses the gift only to sneak around and retrieve the green ball once his father is asleep. The next day, Dickie brings his new ball to school and shows it off to a female classmate. Seeing them, Johnny and his mates are jealous of Dickie's new toy, so he asks for it. Dickie doesn't want to give the ball to them and tries to stand his ground. However, Johnny calls his big classmate who threatens Dickie. Knowing he can't beat the boy, Dickie smiles and tries to shake his hand, but he ends up throwing Dickie away with his strength. When Dickie comes home, he is scolded by T, who sees his black eye and his torn-up uniform. He tells his son not to get into any trouble since they are already struggling enough. Dickie tries to say that the green ball is the cause of the fight, but he is instead startled by the ball's sudden ability to shapeshift. Throughout the night, it continues to move mysteriously, causing Dickie to be scared, thinking that it's a ghost. Irritated by Dickie's scream, T locks his son inside the cabinet together with the toy that is glowing and moving, before it transforms into a cute, fuzzy dog-like alien. After some time, T opens the cabinet to find Dickie smiling and promising that he won't cause any more trouble. Once T leaves the house for work, the alien dog comes out from the closet and Dickie wonders what it is and where it came from. Dickie assumes that it comes from outer space and decides to name it CJ7. He is happy about his new companion as they dance around the house, and he is amazed when CJ7 turns a rotten apple into a freshly picked one. In the morning, Dickie is excited to go to school together with CJ7 on his shoulder. On the way, they encounter a stray rabid dog which CJ7 beats up, making Dickie more confident to go to school. At school, Dickie has an exam coming, so he asks CJ7's help. The alien quickly assembles a special glasses for Dickie that has tiny flying cameras to stream his classmates' answers to the glasses lens, causing him to get a perfect score for the first time. CJ7 then gives him special sneakers for PE class that makes Dickie powerful. He can high jump, swim really fast just using his feet, and even break the treadmill with his super speed. Finally, after Dickie breaks the goal post with a powerful kick during soccer practice, his PE teacher demands to know from where he got his sneakers. Dickie refuses to tell him, and they both begin to fight outside. Meanwhile, Mr. Cao brings the police to catch Dickie, so he uses the rockets on the bottom of his shoes to fly away and flee the school grounds. As he ascends, the rockets suddenly stop working, and Dickie pushes off the back of an eagle to get even higher, where he sees a cloud in the shape of CJ7. He closes his eyes, brings his palms together at his chest and begins to meditate on his way down. He reaches out his palm and a strong breeze knocks everyone on the ground off balance. Dickie suddenly wakes up. It turns out that everything was a dream. He is relieved to find CJ7 in the house and wonders if his dream can become reality. He confidently walks to school with CJ7 and encounters the rabid dog just like he dreamed. However, CJ7 doesn't have the strength and ability to beat it up, so they continue walking to school with bruises. Next, when Dickie asks for help with his exam, CJ7 gives him a piece of poop on his hand instead of special glasses, which doesn't help him at all and causes him to fail. He gets angry at the alien and shoves its head down the toilet. The same thing happens when Dickie asks for the super sneakers before P.E. class. Instead, CJ7 shoots lots of poop at him, causing him to be humiliated as he gets sprayed down by the gardeners in front of his classmates. After school, Dickie lures CJ7 out from behind a tree and captures it with a sack. He chucks the alien in the trash bin before leaving it there to be thrown away. While he walks away, Dickie realizes that CJ7 did nothing wrong and Dickie is only disappointed because of his own unrealistic expectations from his dream. He runs back to retrieve CJ7, but the trash truck has already emptied out the bin. Dickie tries to catch up to it, but it's too fast and CJ7 is now gone. He comes back home in tears, weeping to his father. However, his smile returns as he sees CJ7 at home and they hug. Meanwhile, T wonders where CJ7 comes from and is amazed at how high-tech it is as he assumes it's a toy. He starts to prod at CJ7 and tries to figure out how the toy works, causing it to feel uncomfortable. Seeing this, Dickie tries to get his father to stop by lying, saying that he had borrowed it from a friend and to please not break it as he needs to return it. Later that night, T and Dickie are sleeping uncomfortably as it is hot and they don't have a fan. CJ7 sees them from the frying pan that it's sleeping in, and decides to use his true powers to fix the broken fan using an electrical pulse that comes from its antenna. After using its powers, CJ7 is exhausted, signified by the ball in its antenna going red. In the morning, T wonders how the fan can suddenly work before Dickie goes to school together with CJ7. When Johnny and his buddies witness the alien dog with Dickie at school, they take it by force from him and attempt to cut it with tools, but nothing works. Finally, they try to use a drill, and Dickie jumps on them because he doesn't want CJ7 to get hurt. CJ7 disappears into the bushes nearby. Dickie attempts to strike one of the pupils, but is stopped by Johnny's huge friend, who is then stopped by Maggie. Mr. Cow apprehends them all and punishes them for fighting, as well as demanding that they explain the circumstances. When Mr. Cow eventually leaves, CJ7 emerges from concealment and Dickie uses it to amaze the other pupils by performing stunts for them. Dickie thanks Johnny for keeping CJ7 a secret from Mr. Cow. They shake hands and agree not to tell the adults about it, forming a peaceful bond in the process. T proudly displays Dickie's 100-point test paper at the construction site until his manager informs him that Dickie had manipulated the marks from 0 to 100 using a pencil and is a cheater. T then threatens to hit his boss if he continues to accuse his son of cheating. This escalates to a fight, with T fleeing while his manager yells at him that he has been fired. Despite his rage at his boss, he realizes that Dickie changed his score. T runs into Dickie at home and confronts him about lying. Dickie tries to explain that he did it because he doesn't want to disappoint his father. However, T insists that Dickie must be smart because that's the only way they can get out of poverty in the future. That is why T is working so hard to be able to send Dickie to a good private school despite their condition. He takes CJ7 from Dickie and stuffs it into his messenger bag, explaining that because he doesn't work hard, he doesn't get to play with him. Dickie gets mad at his father, saying that he doesn't want him in his life anymore. In anger, T agrees with Dickie and vows to leave Dickie alone if he can score more than 60 points on his own. However, T's anger finally subsides and he feels bad for lashing out at his son. He arrives at Dickie's school the next day to deliver his lunchbox. There, he meets Ms. Ewan, who offers to deliver the lunchbox to Dickie assist him with his studies. Ms. Ewan looks on as T gladly shakes her hand, grateful for the teacher's attention for Dickie, before riding away on his bike. Next, T goes to his workplace and apologizes to his boss, who in return apologizes for calling his son a cheater in front of the other employees. He returns his job and income, as well as a bonus in a red envelope, so T may purchase new textbooks for Dickie. T excitedly tells the woman manning the elevator about his great luck on his way up to the building he's working on, but her sliding door shuts him out. Meanwhile, at school, Dickie is finally doing another exam truthfully this time, and eventually gets 65, which is the highest score he has achieved. Later, T knocks some canisters over during work, tying his legs with ropes and bringing him dangerously close to the edge. T clings to a bamboo pole for dear life, as a worker inquires about his safety harness. T is unable to recover it and loses his grip on the bamboo, falling lower down to grasp some mesh netting suspended by the weight of the canister. When another worker on the lower floor notices him, he tries to assist him by instructing T to reach his free hand out with the other workers. Unfortunately, T is unable to reach his hand, and the netting begins to fray. T gets killed as he falls off the scaffolding of the building. Ms. Yuen calls Dickie from his classroom when he is still happy about his test results. She tells him that there has been an accident with his father at the construction site, so they both go to the hospital where T was brought to. Dickie is seen sitting in the hospital, clutching his exam paper as he observes the scenario in the door window near him between the doctor, T's boss, and Ms. Yuen. She returns home with Dickie and shares the heartbreaking news that his father has died. Dickie starts crying and tells her to leave, then pushes her out the door and sobs. Dickie says his father will return tomorrow and apologizes to Ms. Yuen, telling her he is going to sleep and slides down to a sitting position, while Ms. Yuen cries with him outside of the door out of sympathy for the poor child. Meanwhile, CJ7, who is still in T's messenger bag, crawls out from it, finding itself under the table where T's dead body is lying. It sees T's corpse and decides to use its electrical powers to repair T's body, and tries to bring the man back to life. CJ7 is successful in its attempt, but the massive power it released to bring T back causes it to be very weak. Dickie discovers T lying next to him in bed the next morning. T wakes up and wonders why Dickie is still dressed in his outfit. Dickie goes up to his father and sobs, promising to be a good son and repeating T's words about not cheating, lying, or stealing and doing well in school. He is very remorseful about saying that he doesn't want his father in his life previously, as it had come true. They have a tender time together. Then, fatigued from wasting all of its energy on T's rejuvenation the night before, CJ7 slips out of T's messenger bag and lies on the bed, helpless and drained. He eventually morphs into a little doll with crossed eyes once the ball inside his antenna falls and disintegrates. Devastated at the alien's demise, the father and son try a variety of methods to bring it back, using batteries to try and charge it, electric shock to wake it up, and even a glucose injection. They are unsuccessful, but Dickie still has hope for CJ7, so he puts the doll around his neck. Finally, it is shown that everything has returned to normal and peaceful. The kids and adults are at a park where Johnny's huge friend is head over heels in love with Maggie, who is head over heels in love with Dickie, who is head over heels in love with another girl who Johnny's in love with. Meanwhile, T adores Ms. Yuen but believes he is not humorous enough for her. Despite the romantic upheaval, Dickie continues to wear the alien doll as a necklace, believing that it will come to life when he closes his eyes, counts to 3, and then opens them. He hears a whining sound and discovers the cause to be a little white dog before a classmate of his swiftly lifts the dog out of the way. Dickie feels upset that CJ7 still hasn't come back to life. In the end, Dickie sees a UFO hover by him and descend onto the bridge in front of him. Many other alien dogs like CJ7 of various colors and patterns emerge, running towards him, and he realizes that the CJ7s are headed by one that looks like his very own CJ7. Suddenly, he hears a sound and the CJ7 doll's antenna starts to blink, indicating it's about to come back to life. The film ends with all the little CJ7s rushing the playground while an excited Dickie looks on. The end. Thanks so much for watching.